Hello, and welcome to the Fans Corner. Once again, I'm joined by Fred. Fred, how you doing, mate?
Yeah, not too bad, not too bad. A bit of news day, hasn't it, been with the football, but trying to get some work done, trying to keep up with it all. It's been fun.
I think you'll be interested to see what's the half the story. Is that what the podcast is called? Be interested to
Yeah,
see
with
that.
Liz and Matt, yeah.
Be certainly interesting to see what goes on regarding that with that episode. But
hmm
anyways, we're speaking about boxing today, and as well as that news, obviously being within football, there's been a lot of news with boxing. Let's start off Saturday evening or night for us. Demetrius Andrade defended his WBO middleweight title against Liam Williams. Fred, what did you make of that? Liam Williams, I felt, looked a bit out of his depth at some points.
I thought it was a good fight, to be honest. I was definitely entertained for 12 rounds.
Oh yeah,
I don't know about out. He looked. Andrade won it comfortably, but I wouldn't say. I think Liam Williams was definitely not meant to be that close to him. Like I thought Andrade would probably show his quality, but it never really came in the end. I think Liam Williams stuck with him a lot better than people thought he would. Um,
yeah.
threw some nice
I
jobs,
mean,
pressured him a lot and did well. But
I mean,
at the end it showed Andrade's quality when he come through and got all them rounds in the bag, so he didn't have to worry about Liam Williams getting a
yeah.
little
I
dodgy
mean,
decision or something like that.
yeah. I mean, yeah. Outclassed. I do believe it was outclassed, as in not to the extreme of totally white the ball. I just believe some of the stuff that Demetrius and Andrade was doing was some of them uppercuts that he was throwing, etc., and the way he was moving, and he dealt. I felt he dealt with Williams quite well. I'm not saying Williams didn't put up a fight. It's probably, I'd say it's probably Liam Williams. Demetrius Andrade's biggest test yet to a certain degree, because
Yeah.
Liam Williams did look threatening, but it was. I feel that Andrade was just that class above him. And don't get me wrong, I think Williams can fight for another world title. He is world title level, but whether he can pull it off and get that win against the top opponent.
It's been talked about a lot, hasn't it? The Andrade Golovkin kind of, because they're both saying that they're both unready now.
I think that would be really good, to be honest with you. There was talks of Billy Joe Saunders also fighting him, but he's obviously fighting Canelo now. But later down the line, I think that would be a good fight, 100%.
Yeah. What did you think of? Well, yeah, Canelo would be. I still think Canelo right now is just the best in the sport, to be honest. But what did you think of? What did you think of people saying that it was the weight cut that cost Andrade? Because people are saying that was the reason he kind of slowed down a bit. Wasn't as effective in the middle rounds until he kind of found his second wind in the end. But a lot of people are saying that he shouldn't be at middleweight anymore. He's too big for it. What were your thoughts on that kind of?
Yeah, I mean, I can understand where they're coming from. I'll be honest with you, I didn't know he made a weight cut. I know he's fighting. It is middleweight, isn't it? It's not super middleweight.
Yeah, so he looks like a super middleweight, in there.
Yeah, don't be wrong. The frame of him and the height of him, that's a super middleweight. But I don't think he looked like he was drained as in such. Okay, yeah, some parts he didn't look great. But no fighter is going to walk around, go into that ring and win every single round unless you're, not even Canelo wins every single round in a fight. It depends who he's fighting, but there are going to be rounds where you're not going to win, etc. Also, you need to stay switched on, etc. But I know what you're saying, but I don't know. I didn't really know.
You think he can stay at middleweight then?
I don't think he can. See, if you think he can stay at middleweight, I think for his career, I think he should move up to super middleweight, because to be fair, super middleweight and middleweight, that's where Golovkin and Canelo are mixing it, but them fights will come in the Canelo, but they could be made at super middleweight. So if he's that oh no, I don't, that's it, I don't want to fight a middleweight anymore. That fight can be made at super middleweight. But if he wants to keep continuing and he feels he's comfortable to fight a middleweight, let him fight a middleweight.
Yeah.
I know what you're saying. He maybe looks a bit drained. Some of it I thought. I second you to obviously Liam Williams in the middle rounds. I thought he nicked a couple here and there. Obviously, wasn't enough, but I wouldn't say he was off his game. I'd still say he was world level that night and rightly won that fight. But as I said, I know what you're saying. The frame of him does look like a super middleweight. So it'll be interesting to see what.
Do you think he could do the same that he does at middleweight, super middleweight, with him not being as, because obviously that's part of his aroma at middleweight. He's a big guy. He's heavy-handed. He can throw them big punches. But at super middle, everyone can, or not everyone, but a lot of the fighters there can also do that. He's no longer the big guy in the ring.
Yeah. I mean, not gonna lie, mate. If you mix it with people like Golovkin, you're not gonna knock Golovkin or Canelo out. They've got their chins of granite. I know what you're saying.
Yeah, I suppose. I think a close battle. Golovkin maybe coming to the end of his career would be a good fight for Andrade. And then you've got also Charlo, haven't you? He's the other middleweight champ. He's looking quiet.
Does his brother fight in the same division as him? I can't remember.
I think his brother's super welterweight. I'm not sure. I think a few divisions down, I'm pretty sure. But yeah, the Charlo brothers are both kind of up there, doing well.
Yeah.
But that, we go back to it. We talk about a lot about the promoters and not fighting who they should really, because obviously Andrade's with the Zone and Matchroom, and then who's Charlo with? Is it PBC?
It's either PBC or Showtime, someone like that. Yeah, I think it is PBC though.
So that type of fight is just so hard to do. But I think both fights would be good. And even Andrade, if he does step up, fighting some of the champs up there would be a good fight as well.
Yeah, that's 100% what I think about Andrade. He's a great fighter, and I think he could mix it super middleweight. But as you said, you look on the power side of things. It just will be interesting to see. I do hope he soon moves up to super middleweight, because he might be more, maybe have one or two fights in super middleweight to tune himself up, get used to the super middleweight like Usyk's done, for example. But be interesting to see the super middleweight division or middleweight division. Them two divisions are thriving at the moment, aren't they? Really?
Yeah.
So, but also on the undercard of the event, you had Aponte and Espino picking up wins to prospect. Well, yeah, I'd say prospects, but now I feel they can move on and push up for domestic titles, etc. 100%. Did you see Otto Jones? He suffered his first defeat to
I heard about it.
Castaneda.
I remember when we watched it. I watched his last fight.
Oh, sorry, his name's not Otto Jones. Otto Jones. Sorry,
Otto Jones. Well, it might be Otto Jones, to be fair, because I don't know how they pronounce down there, but it seems a bit weird to be called Ofa. I saw his fight when he drew against the Mexican. And
that was a good fight.
He couldn't impose himself on the fight well enough. He just was always second best with everything, and got beat to nearly everything that was coming at him. And then actually looked the better fighter. If you go in there with someone who can just chase you and just throw punch at you, whether they be powerful or not, especially in a state like Texas or Florida, all these places, judges can be a bit happy with that type of fighting. So I didn't watch his fight against this guy, but say the warning signs were there back then. He obviously couldn't come up to the test with this one.
Yeah, I mean, I hope he pushes on and moves on to, could be a change of trainer, could be something you don't know what's going on in his personal life, etc. But hopefully,
it's early in his career, isn't it? He's 21 years old. So.
Yeah.
maybe you never know. It could be the kind of spark for him. Pushes on to actually.
Well, it's a learning curve, isn't it? For every fighter, your first loss is always your learning curve, 100%. But staying on the topic of shock upsets, Andrei Fedosov handed Majidov his first pro defeat by a first round KO. Bit of a tongue twist on that one. But Majidov was tipped for big things. Still is, but he got blown out. He looked like he snapped his ankle on the way down.
Well, that wasn't nice.
No, it'd be interesting to see how he comes back. I'm pretty sure he's one of the. Is he the Uzbekistan or the Azerbaijan fighters? One of them is coming through.
Azerbaijan,
Yeah, I think he fought on one. I think he. The first time I see him was on one of. I think it was the Canelo undercard, or it was something like that.
He fought on Anthony Joshua's card. He fought Tom Little.
Yes, he did. Yeah, he did. Oh, yeah, of course he did. Yeah. That was. I think that was his first fight.
Second, I think. Yeah.
Right, okay.
Before that, but so he's a decorated amateur.
Well, yeah, I mean, if you're being thrown with Tom Little like in your second fight, Tom Little's not the best of fighters, but he's an experienced, and he's experienced. Well, he was an experienced pro. Now retired now, but
this is heavyweight boxing, isn't it? You know, we've seen it time and time again. These heavyweights, it doesn't matter who you are. If you can throw punches, we saw who was it? Who beat the German guy on the Dillian White card?
Nick Webb.
Yeah, Nick Webb. He wasn't tipped to do anything really. He was just in there for a bit of a fight against Pfeiffer, who's like an upcoming heavyweight, and he goes in there, catches him a few times, and then he can't recover from it. And it's the beauty of heavyweight boxing, I think, because as much as you've got the better fighter, if you can throw a good right hook or a left hook, any fight can be yours to win, really.
Yeah,
and that's why a lot of these fighters stay at the top. Like, I mean, I say the top. You got Tom Little, Dave Allen, all these type of fighters. They can throw good knockout punches, and therefore they'll always be in and around there, won't they? Because, or even Chisora, for example, how many fights has he had since he kind of has been on his demise a bit? And yet he's lost a big fight and then just gone in against these randoms, just knocked them out and then gone straight back up. So heavyweight boxing, all you need to kind of stay relevant and stay in the mix is just that one punch. And yet, obviously, Fedorov managed to get him done by it. And he's 34. I'm seeing this Medvedev, but he should have enough time to kind of come back and maybe get his his revenge on him.
He needs to be out a lot if he's 34.
Well, that's the thing about heavyweight boxing.
The same with that. Go on.
If you're kind of if you're looking at being a champion of the division, you're obviously looking at Joshua and Fury and Wilder. But if you're 34 years old, you haven't got that much time left, and it's almost like
the time.
What is, if you're going to fail now, how long is it going to take you to actually get to that level?
It's the same with that. It's the same with that. What's that? What's the Chinese heavyweight called? Is it
Zhili Zhang?
Zhili Zhang, yeah. What happened to him on the Canelo undercard when he fought? Then everyone thought he was going to blow out. I can't remember the bloke's name. He fought now. Who was it?
Was it Winters? No,
it wasn't. It wasn't Winters. It was. He's a known heavyweight, but
he wasn't kind of. He was just there to.
No, yeah, he was just there to give him a test. Really, well, not really a test, to be honest with you, but it was lucky he got a draw there. But that's just heavyweight boxing, really, isn't it? Anything can happen. Moving on.
No.
Have you got it?
Yeah, it was Jerry Forrest. So
that's it. Yeah,
he's known in the heavyweight divisions, but it's almost like who did Frank Mir fight on the weekend? I can't remember his fight, but that you got these heavyweights in America that have been finished for so many years, yet they're still getting the big fights or say decent level fights because they've got heavyweight power, and you can sell a fight just on that.
Yeah, heavyweights will always be
We'll love them.
Most entertaining for me, 100%. But moving on, we touched earlier on super middleweight mix. Carlos Gongora defended his IBO super middleweight title against Christopher Pearson and got the 8th round KO as a result of absolutely destroying him. To be honest with you, I thought he was on top of his game. Is that another person you could see mixed in that division? He looked pretty decent to me. He holds the IBO super middleweight, so that's a thing that could drag him into one of the fights. I wouldn't have thought he's not going to be a threat to Canelo. He might be. It's his boxing, but
yeah,
I think he could mix it in there. He is a good fighter. As he proved,
he's a danger
on the Saturday night.
Tell you what I like about him is that his last 2 fights is ended in knockouts in the 8th and 12th round. So it shows that he stays in fights till the end and still has that knockout power till then. And that's something that's a bit underappreciated, I think, in boxing, that kind of ability.
As you go on.
There's lots of fights, super middleweight out for him. So can he kind of get up with that Canelo? Probably not. And I think that's the problem with super middleweight division. Everyone's comparing, these champions and these great boxers to Canelo, and to obviously because he's so good at the moment. But if you're not at Canelo's level, you're almost nothing. Maybe a fight with Callum Smith would be a decent little one for Eddie to put on.
That would be, actually, thinking about it.
I know going back to what taller, but
he's still super middleweight, isn't
he? Yeah.
But going back to what you were saying earlier about super middleweights, the difference, Demetrius Andrade, that would be the difference for some fighters. Obviously, that's what Carlos Gongora has, late power. That is dangerous, especially when a fighter's tired and, he drops his guard, that split second, and then bang, it's dangerous, 100%.
Yeah.
Very, very handy to have as well.
It's a stacked division, super middleweights. I mean, you've got, the Zach Parker guy who was on BT's show a few weeks ago. He's kind of in the realms for a title fight now. You've got Rocky Fielding, David Lemieux, John Ryder, Caleb Plant, Daniel Jacobs. Daniel Jacobs against Gungura could be a good one.
Both matching fighters.
Yeah. There's a lot of. I mean, you look at the division. It is matching. You've got Canelo, Cam Smith, Billy Joe, Daniel Jacobs, John Ryder, Rocky Fielding, Gongora.
They're all matching.
All kind of matching fights. So there's, we talk about politics. It's possible.
Certainly is, mate. Certainly is. Move on to this weekend. Get on the topic of Frank Warren. He's got a card out. Interesting one. Denzel Bentley versus Felix Cash for the Commonwealth and British middleweight titles. Fred, who's your pick for that one? And how do you think it's going to
go? It's a good little fight, that. Both are kind of early, but also in their career, but also kind of getting to that point where, this is the stepping up stage.
They can push on.
Yeah. Both have kind of shown that they're both top quality boxers and that they possess kind of knockout power. It's a tough one. You've also got the two different promotions facing off against each other as well.
Yeah, match from Frank Warren, isn't
it? Yeah. So I think both kind of will be wanting, because obviously whoever wins this can probably push on some more bigger fights in that division. If I had to go to someone, I'd probably go for Denzel Bentley. I've been impressed with both, but I think, Denzel Bentley's always kind of impressed me when he's fought. He's always had that bit of knockout power, but also having the ability to box well for 10 rounds. And Felix Cash is going to be no kind of easy bout. Don't put it this way. I'm not saying that he's going to hammer him out, but I feel like when you look at Felix Cash opponents, he's kind of just knocking them out and then done. And unless he kind of can get it done in the first 4 rounds, I see Denzel Bentley taking charging it later rounds, maybe around 10 type of stoppage and getting the win. What about you?
Yeah, I mean, I'm actually going to go with Felix Cash. I think he's impressed. I find his record. He's fought some decent opponents as well. I'm not saying Denzel Bentley. I'm not too sure if I'll actually have a look now. So he's fought a couple of decent opponents. His last two have been against Mark Askren, so decent. But I don't know. I feel. How do I put it this way? Denzel Bentley's a great fighter. Just think Felix Cash will have the edge. I think he will have the edge in the fight, but it's a complete 50-50 fight. If I had to choose one, I'd go with Felix Cash, but it's going to be a great fight. It's going to be a great fight because it's so evenly matched.
Yeah.
So it will be interesting. I won't be surprised if Denzel Bentley gets it, but I just do think Felix Cash has that edge. I think, I don't know, I just think he has. He's got the edge.
I've been kind of thinking recently with the kind of fighters. I feel like the way Matchroom promotes their fighters makes you feel like they are better than kind of Box Nation, or not, I say Box Nation, Frank Warren's type of fighters.
To be honest, mate, I mean, no offense again to obviously Frank Warren's events, but you have a look at some of the people on his events, compare them to, you know, the likes of Anthony Fowler, compare them to, I don't know. The only prospect is what I will watch at the moment from that actually interests me into watching at the moment. No disrespect to anyone else within Frank Warren, but Dennis McCann, Tommy Fury, and David Adelaide. I think they're the three prospects that I if they're on the undercard, I will watch their fight because they entertain me, and I know they're tipped for big things. As again, I'm saying, you know, I don't have any disrespect to any of the other fighters, class fighters that he's got. He's got a brilliant stable of fighters, but I feel, I know what you're saying about Matchroom. They some of them are quite hyped up jobs, but you have a look at, for instance, Campbell Hatton. What's he going to do? Is he going to take after? Is he going to be as good as his dad, or is he going to be better? Or is he just going to flop? I think it's intriguement more than. I mean, I know you get the sign fighters who are ABA champions, etc. But yeah, I do think that Matchroom do hype up their prospects.
They're very good at it. They're very good at marketing.
Oh, of course they are. The marketing side of things, they're brilliant. I mean, I'm not just saying I think Felix Cash will win because he's a Matchroom fighter. I just think he's got the better tools for the fight.
Yeah.
If he's going to edge it, but as I said, it's prospects. They've both got a brilliant stable of prospects, but I do think Matchroom do have the better prospects. I do think that Frank Warren signs fighters that are good fighters, but Eddie Hearn will only sign fighters if he sees world-class potential in them. And I'm not saying any of, obviously, Frank Warren's prospects don't have world-class potential. I hope I go on to the big things and prove me wrong. But I just think Eddie Hearn he'll only invest his time and money into fighters who actually genuinely believe he's going to get them world titles.
Yeah, I think it's, you know, he had Frank Warren's kind of, I wouldn't say past his, well, you could say, arguably he's past his A-day, but he's definitely come from, he was in Eddie Hearn's position, wasn't he? He was the new one getting all the fighters done, getting all the good fighters on his books. And now he's kind of in a position where he's, I think he's focusing a lot, in fairness to him, he's focusing a lot more on British boxing and all the kind of
that's one thing fighters. I will give him credit to. He puts on some good British fights, good British title fights, etc. So did Eddie Hearn, but I think Frank Warren, other than people like Josh Taylor and you know, Tyson Fury, I just think other than that, is British level at the moment.
Yeah.
Hopefully all them prospects. I'm not saying none of these prospects are bad for everyone, because I'll probably get a backlash to it. But no, I just think that Eddie Hearn only invests his time in people who he knows are going to be world class and consider world class potential. But I'm not saying Frank Warren doesn't. I just feel that he brings on prospects who are exceptional boxers. Don't get me wrong, and they're brilliant. But they're the fighters that I personally, at the moment, can't see them winning world titles, whether they've got a loss on their record, etc., or just things about them. But as I said, I hope they prove me wrong. Anyway, moving on, we've got Callum Johnson. He's making his return to the ring against Emil Markic for the WBO Global Light Heavyweight title. Fred, what's your take on Callum Johnson?
He's I can't say he's ever really stood out. I've always known about him, and he's always been in and around the kind of British scene. I got a good win against Frank Belloni, I always butcher his name. Frank Bugaloni, yeah. Bugaloni. He got a good win against him, and they put him on the kind of decent world level. But then I do remember him fighting, I'm butchering his names today. Beterbiev. Beterbiev, how do you say it?
Oh, him. Arthur. But I know you're on about. Yeah, the Russian.
Yeah, that geezer, the one that's got a KO in every fight.
He's the world champion, isn't he? I think he's
light heavyweight.
He held one of the belts. Yeah,
so losing to him was no kind of. There was no kind of bad display on his part. It's just more the fact that he's so good. But I think he has got potential. He's a bit inactive recently, especially since his last fight was in March 2019. So you're kind of looking at a few fights under Frank, which will probably be just journeyman. Because obviously he needs them fights to get back in the ring of things. But I think he's a good level boxer. Will he get back to that world level? I think it's possible. I mean, who are we looking at with the light heavyweights right now? If we kind of put him in some sort of ranking, what are we saying?
You still got Sergey Kovalev mixing it, don't you? You've still got Anthony Yardley and Arthur. Who else?
Let's have a look. So on the British thing, you got Joshua Buatsi, Yard, Lyndon Arthur.
Of course you have, yeah, Buatsi, yeah.
And then you got Baddy Jack. Is he still fighting? I know.
I think he's out in Dubai. I don't know who he fights or anything.
He fought on
last I heard of him. Oh yeah, he might have done. Yeah, I mean the last I heard of him was when he had that massive gash on his head.
Oh yeah.
That was brutal.
But yeah, I know Baddy Jack's obviously a good level. I don't know whether he's getting a bit older now, ain't he? Don't know whether he'd be interested in kind of that. But I can see him mixing it there. But you got Beterbiev, Joe Smith Jr., Kovalev. As these kind of old boys go out, like Kovalev and
out with the old boys.
Maybe he can think either. I think looking at them domestic fights would be a good idea for him. I mean, Anthony Yard, would that be something that interests you?
Yeah, I mean, it's an all British. Well, yeah, I mean, all British showdown. Could be for the British lightweight heavyweight title, couldn't it? To be honest with you, but yeah, we'll have to see. To be honest,
got Craig Richards as well. Forgot about him.
Yeah, you got Craig Richards, Dan Aziz as well.
Yeah,
I mean, he's not up there at the moment, but he's the English champion, so
he's taking his time.
Yeah, I mean, Callum Johnson, Charlie Duffield, how's that sound, Fred?
Oh, things I'd be worried for Charlie Duffield because, I mean, would he be able to? Do you reckon he'd compete well with him? Because I think Charlie Duffield still needs a few more fights to get back into that kind of reign.
No,
I feel like he's
yeah.
still.
I think a couple more fights, and he could be mixing it with some not the world title, level, but I still think get a couple of fights under his belt, and he can push on to English titles, etc. And
so what you're saying is Joe Smith Jr. versus Charlie Duffield is going to happen then.
Yeah,
it's the next in line.
Mate, anything can happen. Boxing. No, but joke aside, I think Callum Johnson's a great fighter, and I think this fight is good for him. He can bounce back and he can push on. But sticking to the light heavyweights, you've got Anthony Yarde against unbeaten German Emin Atra. That got announced the other week, I think. Anthony Yarde, this is his first fight since Lyndon Arthur, am I correct?
Yeah, it should be.
Yeah, so
because he fought. No, he didn't. I was going to say he fought straight after Kovalev and lost to Lyndon Arthur, but no, he did have a few in between.
Yeah, so but he bounce back from that. He'll be unless Anthony Yarde has just gone to absolute shite, which I don't think he has. Then he should get the job done Saturday. Yeah, 100%. On the topic also of prospects, quite a couple out in action this weekend. You've got George Davey, Henry Turner, James Hennigan, and David Adelaide all out in action. Be interesting to see how they've improved, etc., and what have they added to their arsenal, and what they can do Saturday night. Will you be tuning in for the card?
Probably, but I mean, yes, most likely because I'm interested in Yarde. I'm a big fan of Yarde's. Yeah, what's open now,
Yeah.
It's
freezing out.
But yeah, yeah, it has been absolutely Baltic every time I've been out there. But yeah, Callum Johnson, it'd be good to see him back, and then that Bentley cash card, I think would be a great one. It's almost like if this was on Matchroom, I think there'd be such more of a big buzz around boxing about it.
Of course there would.
Because I haven't seen much. I've seen BT promote it, but I haven't seen anyone else really.
Well, not being funny, Sky Sports ain't going to promote it, are they?
Well, no. But even like IFL and behind the gloves, I haven't seen much from them.
I know. Yeah, to be fair, yeah, true, but not really I don't know. I feel that Frank Warren doesn't get the credit he deserves sometimes as well with these fights. Sometimes down to the undercard that he puts on as well, because some of them aren't exactly the most entertaining, but I think it'll be a good night nevertheless.
Yeah.
Going back to obviously this Sunday morning for us, mate. What was all that Jake Paul stuff about? And,
yeah,
mate. Do you think he's fixed? Do you think he's fixed? It's got to be fixed.
I don't think it was.
How can you get? Go on.
I don't think it was fixed in the sense that he got told to go down and like.
No, I don't think that was it.
I just think he took that punch. He got connected. The only thing that maybe is a bit in contention is whether the fact that punch was strong enough to sit him down like that. It probably was. Because I thought it was quite a good punch, but whether it wasn't hard enough to kind of keep him dazed, such and not be able to continue.
Listen, he's been punched so much harder in the UFC. There's a video that went round, and he was absolutely getting laid into,
and he was still just
moving. Yeah, what Jake? Some YouTuber from America just chinned him, and he's just gone down like a sack of shit. Like,
yeah.
I think all he's done is he's gone in there, he's just flopped to the floor, taken his paycheck, and he's off. Do you know?
Yeah, we saw it smiling afterwards. It's a massive win for him, really.
Smiling afterwards. If you got knocked out by, I'd be fuming. I'd be back in that gym training.
But you saw the way.
More money.
The shape. Obviously, he's never come into a fight in immaculate shape. But boxing's a bit different to kind of. If he was that bothered about trying to win the fight, he would have got himself in shape, done a bunch of boxing. Clearly, he didn't. He was just happy enough to get his money, really.
Mate, were his nutrition's Uber Eats? Honestly, that Ben Askren, he looked. I don't know how he made weight. He had a dad bod. You got to take that seriously.
Yeah,
it's ridiculous. But I think, my opinions on all that YouTube boxing shit.
Mm-hmm.
I hope he fights Tommy Fury next, and Tommy Fury sparks him clean out.
He's never going to fight. You know what'll happen next? He'll get another UFC fighter, I reckon. It'll be another kind of. There's been talk about Tyron Woodley.
Yeah, they started beefing the dressing room, didn't they?
Really? I didn't know that. But...
Yeah, if you don't say, well, not in the dress, but Tyron Woodley was with Ben Askren, obviously in his corner, and they went to go and watch him wrap his hands, and that fucking Jake Paul just started chatting a load of shit, pretty much, saying this and that.
Paul shit? What?
Yeah, well, I don't think I've ever heard that before.
Yeah, no.
No, credit to the bloke. He said he can sell pay-per-view buys. Credit to him, but he's not my cup of tea. I don't like him. I'd love to see him cheer. But anyway, so moving on to the real boxing. AJ Fury. Now, there's been a lot of talk. Will it happen? Will it not? What's your opinion on that, Fred? What do you think's gonna happen? Is it gonna happen?
We've seen, we're recording this on Monday morning, and Gareth Davis, the journalist, has put out an article saying that the announcement is due in a couple of days, saying it's going to be in Saudi Arabia, 20,000 fans, and it'll be between, was it June and August or July and August? It'll be one of them 2 dates. So that's a big step.
Yeah, you said September, August, I think it was, because it clashes with the Olympics.
Yeah. So that's a massive step, I think, in this super fight. Especially, he's saying that he's getting this info from Eddie Hearn. It'll be an indoor stadium, 20,000 spectators. And it looks like the most promising news we'll probably have. Yeah, as such, I don't know when they'll actually end up announcing it, because obviously, with it being the biggest fight of, forever maybe, or for the decade at least, they're gonna have to, especially with how many people are involved. You've got Top Rank, Frank Warren, Eddie Hearn. They're all gonna have to work together and be coherent with announcements and stuff. So I think it's looking good. Saudi Arabia, that location is going to get a lot of scrutiny, I think, but I don't think it's going to get as much scrutiny as it would be if it was in America. Because I think people would see that as like, why wouldn't you just come over here and do it? If they went to America or Saudi Arabia, people are like, well, that's where the money fight is. But it's if there is 3 fights, then they'll just say, we will come back to one, or come back to England for one of them, hopefully. But I think for the first fight to be in Saudi Arabia, with COVID going on, I understand it, but it would have been nice to have it over here, wouldn't it?
Sure would, mate. Imagine I packed out Wembley with them two going at it.
Sweet Caroline banging on.
Oh, mate. Sweet Caroline. Oh, what a night that'd be. No, yeah, I second. I really want it to be in England, but it's where the money is. You can't blame both for doing that, but it'll be nice to see one of the 3 fight, the other 2 remaining fights after the first one in England at some point.
Yeah.
Fingers crossed. I've heard the announcements will be coming within the next coming days. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But
I mean, everything's done for it, I suppose.
Exactly. We shall see Eddie and Matcham are just doing the graphics at the moment as we speak.
Yeah. Deciding whose name's down first and who's going to be first on the ring walk.
Did you see that?
What about both sides going at the same time?
Yeah, both were walking in at the same time.
I mean, it should be.
It should be like a Royal Rumble, but both of them coming from both sides.
Whoever gets to the ring,
running, punching each other.
And bell starts ringing as soon as they both step in the ring.
Yeah, literally.
Golly.
That'd be brilliant. Round it off, the podcast. It was announced this week. Dave Allen announced himself that he plans on coming out of retirement, fighting this summer. He says he hopes to be fighting for at least a domestic title within within the coming future. Fred, do you think you can do that? And
no.
How do you not?
Nah, I don't think so.
Well, not even like an English or like a Southern area title.
Well, I mean, I was thinking more British that level.
Bro,
but
I think you win the British.
Really?
He's
never managed to do it before. Joe Joyce is currently champion, ain't he? But
he'll
relinquish.
Dave Allen versus I don't know, but I think
does he beat Dubois? Does he beat?
No, he doesn't beat Dubois or Joyce, but they're not
what's
British
his
level
name?
anymore.
Fabio Wardley.
Yeah,
Wardley's British level.
Yeah.
Does he beat? I don't think he's no dangerous threat, and I just don't see. I mean, obviously is he going to go with? Who's the promoter he's trying to deal with?
Not going to go. He's not going with Matchroom, is he? He's going with some other promoter that's going to apparently he thinks he's going to handle his career better.
But if he's going to fight Cash Ali and people like that, it's not exciting, is it? It's just a bit.
Nah, I've just missed the old Dave Allen.
Yeah, well, the good old days at Match. Well, the one fight we've seen him at, he collapsed that, and then
that was one fight
dominated.
We've seen him. He got absolutely. Well, he just got outclassed, really, by David Price. We won that, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Well, I didn't think everyone was saying that he got totally hammered, but I thought he was. I didn't think he was winning, but
he was a class above him, but
I
think that was Dave Allen. He had a run. Sweet got a bit of money from it. He's happy. Do you know what I mean? He was never going to fight for world titles.
No.
So,
I've got a question before we end off the. Like you do it normally. I've got one for this week.
Mix it up a bit.
Yeah,
nice one.
We've obviously seen the news in the football industry that Jose's been sacked. Who's the Jose Mourinho of boxing?
Oh.
It's a tricky one. The arrogance, so good when he was younger, maybe dying off a bit now, seen as a bit of a.
What do you mean, like promoter or fighter?
Either. If you can make a case that they say they are the Jose Mourinho of the boxing world right now, or even back in their day, go ahead, because obviously you've got a lot of arrogant personalities in boxing. A lot of maybe people who used to be good and still think they're good, but maybe not anymore. There's a few out there.
So I would say Derek Chisora, but he never was world level. Like he never was like at the top of his game.
Yeah. I've got one. I'll throw one out there. Chris Eubank Jr. For the sheer fact of his arrogance, and it's kind of he thinks he's better than he is.
Mate, he was never world level, in my opinion.
No.
He's.
I know
you're saying sheer arrogance, but you've got to base it on. They've been at the top of their game, and now they're just slowly declining.
I mean, if you can, that's the difference. Is there? I can't think of one fighter who's now dying off that used to be the most arrogant guy ever. Or still is.
Yeah, I mean, if you go on an arrogancy, that's
what I was coming with.
Okay, if you got an arrogancy, then okay. Yeah, Eubank Jr. Yeah, I suppose. I suppose so. I can't really think of anyone that's like apart from that Florian Marco who's like just loves to chat shit really. I don't know. That's quite a good question actually.
Let's go with maybe non-fighters. The promoters. Who's the Jose Mourinho?
I mean, arrogance-wise, that's something I want to. I mean, I would say Frank Warren because he was at the top, and now he's slowly declining. But he's not arrogant, is he? None of the promoters are really arrogant.
No,
Eddie Hearn's a down-to-earth bloke.
The only one you can maybe make a point for is Oscar De La Hoya.
Yeah, that's true. Actually, yeah,
he's got a bit of the kind of. You see, I did see there was a thing that got leaked apparently during the Jake Paul because he was involved with or he's involved in Triller, isn't he?
Triller, yeah.
So apparently he was telling the TV director to pan on his face more and get his shot in
really?
on the broadcast. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's Oscar De La Hoya then for me.
You know, he used to be. Well, he's coming back to boxing as well, ain't he? With all this stuff, him.
What is he thinking?
Van Holyfield.
Mate, it's just a joke. It's becoming a joke now, isn't it?
Was it Eddie Alvarez? He's rumoured to be fighting.
Yeah, I think so. Just someone like that. I don't really pay much attention to that unless it's like, unless it's like a big fight. But at the end of the day, it's boxing nowadays. It's all about money.
Yeah,
isn't it? Really,
it's very. I mean, it's almost like sports in total. Like we've got football. I know we can go back to football, but football now, being destroyed by all this money, and the greed at the top, and now you got with boxing as well.
Sport.
Yeah,
money ruining sport. But no, I think my answer to that will probably be Oscar De La Hoya. I don't think I can think of a fighter who's arrogant, but he's coming down now. The closest one I can think of is Derek Chisora, but he's arrogant at times, but he's not like. I don't know. I have to describe.
There's a few out there. If anyone's listening at this point in the podcast, put down who you think the Jose Mourinho of boxing is. Interesting. Interesting if anyone's still listening.
Yeah. If you got this far,
just put anything in the chat.
Yeah. Just leave a like on the video. But as soon as you've asked the question, why don't you round it off then?
All right then. Thanks for listening, everyone. You usually hear Harry's voice at the end of it, but I'll do my turn this time. If you like the video, you can like and subscribe to the YouTube channel. Check out the Half the Story podcast, which I think there'll be a new episode coming up this week with Lizzie and Matt. And we'll see you next week.